Hello and welcome to this Paychex Bluecast on the 80-20 rule. First, a quick disclaimer. The content in this presentation is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as advice. In a recent survey, HR leaders shared some encouraging perspectives. HR is perceived as a more strategic function. They have a seat at the table with executives and are collaborating on major decisions. And they're better leveraging technology and workforce analytics. However, HR leaders are also struggling with a number of important issues, such as keeping up with ever-evolving regulations, retaining and attracting talent, making technology and analytics work better. And it all boils down to this question: how can HR use its position as a strategic change agent to meet these challenges and deliver greater value? We talked about this with Jessica Hubbard-Davis, an HR consultant at Paychex, and she offered an interesting perspective: the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. And in this Bluecast, Jessica outlines what this principle means, its practical impact, and how it can lead to a more productive HR. Okay, what is the Pareto principle? In essence, it's a natural law, and it suggests that about 80% of the results that we see in almost any system stems from roughly 20% of the causes. It originated from Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, who, in the late 1890s, discovered that about 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the population. Since then, this principle has been evident in varied settings. For example, Microsoft has reported that about 80% of system crashes can be traced to 20% of the top bugs. Studies show approximately 80% of crimes are committed by 20% of a population's criminals. And in business, about 80% of the revenues tend to flow from 20% of the customers. All right, how can we put this principle to work? When it comes to productivity, we can think about the principle like this: about 80% of our effects stem from 20% of our causes. Stated differently, about 80% of our results come from 20% of our activities. So it's vital that we carefully examine our inputs, even ones that may seem trivial, as a means of increasing our output. Now let's apply this to HR. In the outset of this Bluecast, we saw that HR is faced with some major challenges. Jessica suggests that working harder or even purchasing more technology may not generate the kind of results that executives demand. Instead, greater productivity requires a shift in mindset. For example, technology may offer some productivity advances, but the survey research shows that 45% of HR staff still have to manually rekey data into multiple systems. This, in turn, becomes a productivity drain at the clip of up to 29 hours a month for 30% of staff, up to 50 hours a month for 15% of staff, and over 50 hours for about 4%. This is hardly productive. Plus, with this ongoing rekeying method, the additional risk for errors can lead to extensive hours and manpower to research the cause. The question now: how can this be improved? And that's where the Pareto principle comes in. We're basically looking for small changes that can lead to a huge impact. And the research shows that switching to a single, integrated HR suite can virtually eliminate all these wasted hours of rekeying data month after month. And there's more. Jessica shared other ways that HR can up its game using the 80-20 principle by reducing turnover, finding ways to stay ahead of regulatory changes, and outsourcing HR, which allows you to extend your HR team without hiring additional staff. To summarize, recent Paychex research shows positive trends for HR, including being perceived as a more strategic player and leveraging new tools and technology. However, the demands for HR are increasing, and simply working harder or spending more money on technology isn't always the answer. And the 80-20 rule is a powerful way for HR to focus on the 20% of activities that generate 80% of the truly important results for their companies. We hope that you've enjoyed this Paychex Bluecast and invite you to peruse other helpful resources at Paychex Works.